So a $100 million aircraft crashed on Eielson Air Force Base today. At approximately 12:49 p.m., an F-35 fighter jet crashed Tuesday on the flight line at Eielson Air Force Base on January 28th, Tuesday afternoon. And the pilot was uninjured. He was able to bail out, and he was brought to the hospital to be evaluated shortly after that. Now, emergency medical services got to the scene pretty quickly to put out the fire that was caused by the explosion of the aircraft, and then the area was cordoned off, and they didn't let anyone else come in there. Shortly after that, a full-bird Colonel Paul P. Townsend addressed the local press in the area to address any questions that they might have about the situation that he was able to answer at the time. Obviously, there's going to be a big investigation, and this is probably going to be a big investigation because, like I said, this is a $100 million aircraft. So in any case, let's listen to what he had to say about it, because I'd be curious to hear not only what the reporters were asking him, what his responses were.
Good afternoon. My name is Colonel Paul Townsend. Today at 12:49 local, a U.S. F-35 assigned to the 354th Fighter Wing crashed near the airfield on Eielson Air Force Base with the single pilot safely ejecting. The pilot is safe and in stable condition and is being evaluated at a local medical facility. We take a priority in the health, safety, and security of our personnel. Please know that the United States Air Force will conduct a thorough investigation into the cause of this incident.
Oh, for sure.
In addition, I'd like to emphasize that stopping along the Richardson Highway adjacent to the airfield and fence line of Eielson Air Force Base poses a safety hazard and impedes recovery efforts. Federal law also prohibits any photography that occurs along this stretch of highway.
Okay, so if you're in the area, don't go driving by to take pictures. Obviously, just check that one off the box. Don't do that.
Thank you so much for the community's support. We're thankful that the pilot and those responding to the incident are safe.
Yeah, I'm glad he's safe.
And we'll continue to conduct an investigation into the causes of this incident.
I think in the video you could see like the pilot's parachute, like off in the distance, just briefly. I think you briefly see it. I might be wrong. I'd have to go back and relook, but I'm pretty sure you can see it.
Now I'll open it up for any questions.
All right, let's see what they're asking.
Is there any initial indication on what may have caused the incident?
I think it's premature to speculate on the causes of the incident.
Oh, yeah.
The pilot was executing standard procedures and executing their respective mission, and essentially experienced an in-flight malfunction that was able to safely eject, but resulted in the crash of the aircraft.
Yeah, an in-flight malfunction. It's definitely, there's no way right after a crash, there's no way that they would know what happened right after. Like, you can just assume they're not going to know because they got to do an investigation. They have to do any type of diagnostics they can on the mechanics and the electrics that are intact enough to do diagnostics on to see if like they can figure out what was wrong. There may be some like connectivity where it was connected to something else that they could scan to see if like it lost control of any type of mechanism while it was in the air.
Alex Bengal, Alaska's news source. Thank you so much for having us here today. My first question, what was the plane doing at the time of the crash? Was it landing, taking off? And if landing, how long had it been in the air?
So the aircraft experienced, because it was, the impact did occur near the airfield, it was during the landing phase.
Oh,
It had
okay.
been airborne for a period of time.
So he's trying to land.
Investigating what they determined to be an in-flight malfunction.
And just a quick follow-up, I'm sorry, was this a training exercise that it was doing?
Yes.
Yes, so that F-35 assigned to the 354th Fighter Wing had originally scheduled a local training event.
Okay, so he's just doing a routine flight training.
Thank you so much. And just a follow-up to that, that was in connection to the JP MRC training event at some point?
I'm not going to comment on the specifics of the training that aircraft was participating in, but it was participating in the.
Yeah, more than likely, like the training that they're taking or that he was taking part in is like, yeah, we can't. This isn't something you would share. It's like OPSEC stuff. So
training in the local airspace.
Can I hit you with another one?
You can ask a follow-up.
Oh, thank you so much. Did the pilot declare an in-flight emergency before this happened?
The pilot did declare an in-flight emergency prior to what ended up being the crash of the aircraft.
So they knew that there was an in-flight emergency before the aircraft crashed? He communicated that to them?
Approximation of the elevation the aircraft was traveling at the time of the incident?
I don't have specifics on the actual crash.
The elevation.
That's something that we'll continue to uncover within our own investigations.
We had received a report that the pilot was uninjured in the incident. Now hearing that he's in stable condition, were there any injuries associated with this?
I'm not ready to comment on any specific injuries at this time. I will say that the pilot is undergoing a medical evaluation at a local facility.
Yeah. That's another one. Like, obviously, like, you know, when something like this happens, like everything gets shut off. Nobody's supposed to be communicating because I'm sure that all the spouses of that unit are all freaking out. Like I'm sure by now they all know, and they probably know the condition of the guy. And if he was injured, the spouse was, you know, probably talked to and like communicated to about that. But right after something like this happens, they kind of like do this thing called River City where they just cut communications completely. They say, hey, don't talk to anybody about this stuff. We need to wait until like the families have been notified professionally before we let the press know, because they don't want the family to find out that somebody was injured from the press. They want to be able to formally communicate to that person or that individual through more professional ways. So
Shelby Herbert, Alaska Public Media, by the way, I'm so sorry. Is this the first time an Eielson-based F-35 has ever crashed, to your knowledge?
I am not prepared to answer that. I am not aware of a previous incident involving a U.S. F-35 assigned to Eielson and a crash, but I'm not positive on that. None during my time.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Yeah, I mean, he would know if there's a crash during his time, but before he got there, like, you know, he's like, I haven't like read up on every, you know, air mishap that happened here prior to arriving. It'd be a tough thing to know.
You mentioned an investigation into this incident. When the Air Force investigates a crash like this, do you mind sharing what kind of components go into that sort of investigation?
Right. So, and generally speaking, when the Air Force investigates, we take multiple pathways in how we assess the incident. There's an accident investigation board that convenes that essentially assesses the accident and what the potential causes are. And then additionally, there is a safety investigation that looks at it from a safety perspective to see what we can do to prevent further incidents or mishaps. So those in general are the two lines of effort that will support this particular incident.
Yeah, it's going to be a thorough one.
Does this incident in any way affect Eielson Air Force Base's faith in the F-35 as flying equipment? Does it hurt its reputation at all?
I will say
I don't think it's going to hurt its reputation.
The F-35, we are confident in the capability of that platform as the U.S.'s premier fifth-generation fighter.
Yeah.
We will continue to look at the investigation and do our best to uncover any of the things that might have contributed to the incident. But right now, I can stand and say that I have full faith in the capabilities of the F-35A. All right.
Fair answer.
Y'all appreciate I still have an active recovery effort ongoing now, so I'm unable to take any further questions. But if you do have follow-ups, you met Captain Hirschman, Sergeant Spalding as well. They can help connect you with Eielson Public Affairs and follow up with any follow-on inquiries. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So yeah, like I've said before, and like he said, the F-35s are assigned to Eielson Air Force Base. And the squadrons there is the 355th Fighter Squadron and the 356th Fighter Squadron. And Colonel Townsend asked motorists along the Richardson Highway that runs adjacent to the base to not take photos of this video or videos of the scene, or stop on the side of the highway, because you're not supposed to take pictures and stuff, even though there's already pictures out from, the news organizations and stuff. But yeah, hopefully the guy's okay. I mean, obviously he ejected safely before the aircraft crashed, so that's good. So more than likely he's probably just got minor injuries potentially. I don't know yet because they haven't released that information, but hopefully his family was informed, shortly after, so that way they could have good situational awareness on everything. But some people think that the F-35 could cost just about over $82 million. Some say that it could be upwards of $100 million. So that's a lot of money. Obviously, like an investigation that takes place after something like that is going to be rather extensive, for a reason, because that's very expensive, and also because that's a serious mishap when you lose an entire aircraft like that. So I'm sure that this is going to be under investigation for a few weeks, maybe longer, and there's going to be a lot of people involved. So hopefully they figure out what happened, and maybe it was just like a mechanical issue or an electronic issue that's easily resolved, or an update or something like that. And hopefully it wasn't any type of negligence, because then obviously some people are going to get in trouble. So we'll have to wait and see what the result of the investigation is. But, I'm sure that we'll get some more information in the coming days as they release more information.